Hey, Queen. So, congratulations on making it to the end of her playbook. I'm really excited to go through this module with you because, as a recap, it's a great refresher to really reflect on just how much you've actually learned in the last 12 weeks. Because, as this information is so new, a lot of it, and a lot of it familiar, and just, hearing it from a different perspective or a different point in your life, you'll be surprised of how much your brain actually doesn't absorb. And so hearing it again, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And it's just a great refresher, and it's a great point to really look at all of the tools that you've gathered over the last 12 weeks that you get to take on with you. And one of my favorite parts of being a person who practices this work on a daily basis is every single day is a new opportunity to really have those breakthroughs and to understand these principles at a new layer and a new level. I'm constantly being like, oh my gosh, that penetrated deeply or on a new level, like from some experience of which I've had in life. And so it's just really, really exciting. I think of it as like popcorn. As you go into life with these tools, that you're going to keep seeing things show up, and you're going to really just see them differently and experience them differently. So I am just really, really proud of you for making it here. So as we ground to get started in this module, I am going to invite you to sit with your body open, feet rooted on the floor, palms open and up. And I want you to just receive these lyrics as we prepare our mind, body, and soul to dive in. Imagine waking up every day with this mantra in your heart. And instead of just focusing on all the things that you have to do on your to-do list, having anxiety about all the things, regret and depression about all the things you haven't got to yet, you lead with, I love my life. And when you really truly understand what you've learned in her playbook, you realize that you are the co-creator of your whole life. You are the one who is responsible for everything in your reality. Every single thing, every person, you've created it to be your reality based on your beliefs, your thoughts, your habits, your behaviors, your choices. And so when you lead your days with, I love my life, you will choose choices that align to that belief. So let these words just soak in as you prepare to reflect. So, as I said, I really just invite you to lead your life with this way of thinking and remembering that all of your reality is a reflection of your beliefs and your thoughts and your state of being. And so when you can lead with loving your life, that's what play is all about. It's that passion, that purpose, that love for life, the awareness of what choices you're choosing to align to the love and passion of your life, and really being youthful about being unapologetic and bold and free. And we covered a lot of that in the previous module and throughout the whole program. So I hope that you are really grounded in loving your life and knowing that you have the power to shift any parts of it that you don't. So congratulations, you are now KCD certified. I have some former participants to thank for that terminology, and I just absolutely love it because you have officially gone through top-notch leadership work, and with a twist of KCD, with a twist of my heart, my soul, my experiences, and you chose me to be your guide and your teacher, and I'm forever grateful for that. And I'm forever grateful to be a part of this journey of awakening and becoming your best self, because from this point on, you're going to start to pick up on this language, you're going to start to hear these principles and see them, and you're going to continue to evolve into them and become more and more of them And I'm grateful that I got to be a part of that. And so this is the toolbox that you have gained from her playbook. We're going to recap the different tools that you've gathered along the way. And I wouldn't be surprised if I missed some, because there's so many, many, many tools, but these are the foundational tools that you have gathered in the program. And so we started out in the very beginning with the pyramid of how to create lasting change, because I'm constantly talking about how people will listen to podcasts, they'll do programs, they'll go to church, they'll read books, they'll do all these things, and they'll be hyped up, and then they'll go right back to their old ways, and they seem to keep falling back in those same patterns. You'll start something and you won't complete it. You'll be high on something. I'm going to work out, I'm going to eat better, I'm going to do this, and then you don't. And so these 6 areas are the areas that will help you set yourself up for success, for permanent and lasting change, which is your environment. Are you changing your surroundings? Are you changing the people, places, and things in which you spend your time, your energy, and your money? And that's a huge foundational principle that I hope you've learned, that by saying you're a co-creator is saying you're being conscious enough and aware enough to choose choices that align to your purpose, to your highest self. And if you're not doing that, if you're keeping yourself in jobs that don't serve you, around people and places that don't serve you, doing things with your time, your energy, and your money that don't serve you, then you will not create lasting change. You will continue to cultivate whatever reality you're currently in. Your behavior is all about your choices, the things that you're doing, the way you're thinking. And so if you're not working on that, again, you're not going to create that change. Your capabilities is like mastering skills. Are you going out and learning how to be capable to do the things that you want to do and become the person you want to become? Or are you just like, oh, I don't know how to do that? Your beliefs, your values, your identity, and your purpose. So we covered all of that throughout her playbook. There was tons of questions, tons of different ways to dig out who are you, what lights you up, what is your purpose, your passion. I believe your purpose is to wake up every day and be a servant to others, to create impact, to be your best self, to share your testimony. I don't think your purpose is necessarily a thing that you do. I think that's the mechanism of which you show up, and that can evolve. That may evolve as time permits, as your life changes. Maybe right now what you're doing with your life is different than when you have kids, or when your kids are a certain age, or I believe the things we do change, but the principles of who we are is our purpose, and that is to be love, to be light, to be in service, to be generous, and all the different ways of being that really add value to the lives around us. So you learned that, and then we went into what level are you playing at? And the goal of this work is to really self-actualize, to get yourself to that place where you have fulfillment, where you are purposeful, where your life is not just living in a scarcity standpoint, in a survival standpoint, where you're just focusing on your basic needs, going to work every day, taking care of cleaning, cooking, providing for the family, and rinsing and repeat it, which is what most people do. Most people spend most of their time working, paying bills, and doing the mundane day in and day out things, instead of living from a place of passion and flow and alignment. And so as you build up this pyramid, the goal is to get you out of survival mode and into abundance and overflow. And that's what I believe self-actualization is. So we talked a lot about that as well. You learned this diagram, which is one of my favorite things to teach from, because it really is the core of who you are. Your information comes in, the way you perceive, what you hear, what you see, what you experience is based on your thoughts, your behaviors, your beliefs, your identity, your childhood. And so when you are unsettled with your reality, you get to look at what belief created this, what behavior created this, how is the way I view myself creating the reality that I have? How is my location, the time of day, the mood that I'm in affecting my reality? And so when you start to shift all those things and you start to reprogram, then you change your reality. And so if you take that with you and just that with you, you're going to have major transformations in your life. We talked about intention over mechanism. I especially love intention over mechanism when it comes to creating like like let's say like business or goals, because so often when you're living from a passionate place and you're chasing these high in the sky goals, you don't know how it's going to happen. You don't know what it's going to look like. So the mechanism may be unknown, but when you're committed and your intention is pure, it's going to happen. It's going to flow. And so this tool was all about remembering that when your intentions are pure, when you're saying or doing something for the right intention, it will always work out. Where there's a will, there will always be a way. When you're committed to something, even when you don't know how it's going to happen, the mechanism won't matter. You will find a way to make it happen if it's meant to be, and you're in alignment and your intention was set. And so when you're like, I intended to but that didn't happen, then you get to know based on this principle that somewhere in your intention, you really weren't committed to making that happen. Otherwise you would have. And then you get to backtrack and look at and be honest with yourself. We talked about levels of responsibility, which is also a founding principle of this work that I hope you will never lose sight of, that you won't forget, that you are the co-creator and the source of everything in your life. That is the goal that we want to accomplish in the way that you think. And when you start to think like that, you're able to take so much. Like, we want to be control freaks and we can't control things, but one thing you can control is how you respond to life and what you do to create the life that you want and who you be to create the life that you want. So when you live from this level 4 place, you're able to really be responsible for everything. And so you save energy focusing on, well, when this person does that, and why did they do that? And I couldn't because of this. And you're focusing on all these outside things instead of saying, okay, where am I responsible? How did I create this? And so level 4, if it didn't penetrate, I would go back to that module. I would listen to it again. I would keep asking questions about it. I would really grow to understand that. The crutch, major, you have your crown and you have your crutch. So we talked about what are the go-to ways of being. Are you a controller? Are you manipulating? Do you lean into fear? Are you constantly anxious and or depressed? Are you righteous, where you always have to be right, where you're always battling for your opinion to be heard, for you to get the last word? Are you a perfectionist? Do you play victim to your circumstance? Are you inconsistent? We listed so many different ways of crutches, which basically think of a crutch as not your highest self. You can only choose to be your highest self or not to be your highest self. So your crutch is really based on am I choosing to be empowered and choosing to be my highest self or not? And so really noticing that. And so here's the list. We went through many of these, but you can read through them, get familiar with them. You don't want to resist these things. You want to notice that they're a part of you. You want to understand that you are not going to change, but what can change is your choices. So instead of resisting them, I don't want to be a perfectionist, I don't want to be this, I don't want to be that, focus on what is your crown? What do you want to be? Who are you authentically before you're looking for survival and protection and safety and security? Because that's where the crutch comes in. The crutch comes in when we want to be comfortable and safe and protected and secure. The crown is when we're like, I'm going to risk those things and I might be uncomfortable and I might not be certain because this is unknown territory, but I'm going to be empowered and I'm going to be in my power. And so your limiting beliefs are things that I really invited you throughout the program to pay attention to. So if you are doing the workbooks, you've been doing lots of different questions that are pulling out beliefs. There's always a limiting belief operating when your life is not at its highest vibration. So the more you can identify these beliefs and reprogram those beliefs, the more you're going to reprogram your reality. And so many of us have not enough, worthiness, my voice doesn't matter, there's not enough time, there's not enough money, there's not enough. We get in competition, comparison, where we think people are better than us, where we don't want to share, we don't want to collaborate, we beat ourselves up, we go into self-beat up, go into self-judgment, we judge others. So all these different things, when that limiting belief is operating, we are in a low vibration, and that's what we will attract. So we learned about how to identify what's keeping you stuck, and we talked about these different things. So when you feel stuck, you can ask these series of questions. How am I responsible for this? How did I create this? What's the belief operating that created this reality? Do I have belief? Like if you are saying you're stuck here, but you're wanting to go there and you have things on your vision board, do you really believe that you can have them, or do you have doubt? So again, those limiting beliefs, what beliefs are underneath that that's blocking out the belief and certainty that you can go and do and be the thing that it is you want to do to get from where you're at? Life is now. Are you being present? Are you living as if today is all you have? Because so many people are living in the future. One day when, then I, or because this happened or that happened, or I don't have this or I don't have that. And instead of living in the present moment and taking steps forward towards what we want and who we want to be, we're focusing on the past or the future, and we're taking ourselves out of life is right now, being present. So committed action is that intention over mechanism. When you're in committed action, you will do whatever it takes to make something happen. So when those obstacles come, when the excuses come, when the reasons come, you're like, nope, I'm committed. I'm going to fail forward. I'm going to risk looking bad. I'm going to risk messing up. I'm going to risk being judged. I'm committed to the result. I'm committed to the vision. I'm committed to my higher self. And then being in service. If when in doubt, focus out. So if you feel stuck, ask yourself, how am I focusing too much on me? Because oftentimes when we're stuck, it's because we're paralyzed with overwhelm and fear and guilt and shame and all these low vibration energies. When we get in service, we focus on, oh my gosh, people need what I have. Oh my gosh, someone can benefit from me. I've got to serve. And so when you focus out, it takes away that pressure. So this is where we got into the crown. The beauty that you see in me is a reflection of you. So always remembering when you're admiring people and you're just like, oh my gosh, in all of them, that you have that inside of you, which is why you're able to recognize it. And so affirm it, know that it's there, cultivate it, nurture it, keep surrounding yourself with those people. Don't shy away from people and feel like you're not worthy. Lean into those people and be a part of what you are. And so your crown is bold, brave, careless, passionate, joyful, free, all of these things that you want to be. And so focusing on those things. There's always a price. So we talked about paying the rites of passage in order to have the success and happiness and fulfillment that you want and the abundance and overflow. You've got to be willing to give up being comfortable. You have to risk being rejected. You have to be okay not being liked. You have to be okay that you're going to fail and make mistakes. You might look bad. You might be judged. You might be shamed for it. You're not going to be in control all the time. You're definitely not going to be perfect. You will not always be right. And you're not going to always know how it's going to show up, what it's going to look like. And so it's so important that you realize that there's always a sacrifice to success. And if you're willing to pay that price, you will be free. The C method, SEA, surrender, embrace, accept. If you can remember this, it's going to be so powerful for you, because what happens is when you learn to flow with life and surrender instead of resist and fight things, you create so much resistance and spend so much energy on what you don't want instead of focusing on what is. Okay, this happened. How can I move forward from this? What is it that I want to see from here? Because whatever is in front of you is in front of you. And so instead of spending energy of how did this happen? Oh my gosh, just surrender. Embrace it, take the L, the lesson, accept it for what it is, and move through it. Feel the feelings. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to have regret, but discipline that and then move through it. Don't get stuck on that. So same concept, what we resist persists, and what you focus on grows. So again, the more you focus on the problem, the more the problem is going to grow. When you just say, okay, shit, I didn't, that, damn it, and you just, all right, feel the feels. Now focus on the solution. How am I going to move forward? What is it that I want from here? So you got to ask yourself, how can I move forward? I love this quote. What's your relationship with breakdown? Anytime there's a breakdown, that's when things are not going as planned, when things are not going the way you would have wanted them to, when you don't like what's happening, when you're triggered. And if you can program yourself to say, oh, I'm in a breakdown. There's a moment where I'm not happy. I'm unsettled. I'm uncomfortable. I don't like this. I'm triggered. And then your relationship with it can be, how did I create this and what's available for me to learn and how can I grow? You're going to evolve tremendously versus just focusing on the problem and woe is me and playing victim to your circumstance. So again, balance is something that everyone is asking about. How do you do it all? How do you balance it? Balance does not exist. It's alignment you're looking for. You're looking for this sense of flow. You're looking for this sense of fluidity in your life where, you know, there are going to be ups and there's going to be downs, there's going to be ebbs and flows, but you're rolling with it versus feeling like it's a constant battle of balance, because balance means that it's like you're going to arrive at this place where everything's just perfect and okay. So just remember that whenever you're looking for balance, that you're just like, okay, there is no such thing as balance. What is it that I want right now? And then focus on the compass, which is that play. What's bringing me the most pleasure? What do I love right now? Being self-aware and then being youthful. You know, oftentimes when we're looking for balance, it's because we're overwhelmed. And oftentimes when we're overwhelmed, it's because we're overdoing it, because we're overcompensating for the fact that we really want to be doing something over here, but we're going to stay busy because we don't want to feel uncomfortable or we don't want to risk ourselves. So we went into healing. Healing is a necessary part of your progress and your abundance, because if you don't release the stuff that's blocking you, if you don't reprogram your belief system, if you don't make space, forgive, then you will be blocking flow. And so we talked about the 5 elements of healing: face it, feel it, forgive, and let it go. Learn to flow, learn that there's going to be ups and downs. We can't avoid pain. In order to love deeply and unconditionally, we have to risk being hurt. We have to risk being, you know, betrayed, rejected. We can't lead with, I don't want that, so I'm going to protect. When you're trying to protect something, you're closing off. You have closed energy. But when you flow, you accept life as it is, and then you cross bridges when you get there. And then having faith that everything is happening in your favor. So when you can relinquish control and just have faith and trust and flow and heal, you will be able to attract more abundance in your life versus this like control factor where you're constantly trying to do it all yourself. Faith allows you to relinquish that and allows you to flow. So there was many healing modalities that we offered up: prayer, meditation, tapping, EFT, saying your affirmations, doing energy healing, some Reiki. There's different types of things. Definitely diet and lifestyle. You are what you eat. So getting rest, making sure that you're working out, making sure that you're feeding your body properly. Don't like, if you're grinding into the ground where you don't have time to eat, something's not in alignment. You are not in alignment. That does not work. So you're doing something for nothing. And I don't mean something for nothing, but I'm saying you're doing all that and at the sacrifice of your health. What's the point? So you want to make sure that you keep yourself in alignment with what is like a non-negotiable for me. Taking care of your body, your temple should be a non-negotiable. So when things put you in so much distress that you're sacrificing the things that are most important to you, you're out of alignment, and you get to go look at that. So that's just a side note to the healing modality, but that's an example of how diet and lifestyle will support you because it gets to be a priority. So triggers is a huge thing that you get to take away from her playbook. Understanding why you're triggered. I would screenshot this. I would have it saved in my phone. And when I'm triggered, when you get that emotional response and you're ready to take that praise break, I would be looking at this like, what am I feeling right now? Am I feeling unloved, unworthy, unseen, unheard, unimportant, rejected, left out? What am I experiencing right now? It's so important to learn your triggers. Trigger words. This is a signature staple of being KCD certified. We don't say certain words. Can't, definitely not. Try, nah, always, never, if, then, when, good, bad, right, wrong. There's so many words that I want you to have as trigger words that when you say them, I want you to backpedal and say, wait, what am I really trying to say right now? Because the ego's talking, or my trigger, my little girl is talking. So it's really important to study those words and to notice your own. We all have words that maybe not everyone says, but maybe you say when you're uncomfortable or you're under pressure, or, you know, whatever the trigger point may be. And so it's so important to understand your language, to have another pathway of awareness to your subconscious operating. The stories I make up is a saying that I lead with. You know, when I'm communicating, I say the story I'm making up right now, because it's a protection mechanism, not a protection mechanism, but it's like a barrier to help you communicate. Instead of saying you do this and you do that and you never and you always and you're da 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 da, it's like the story I'm making up right now is that da 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 da. And I know that this might be a story. What's the truth in this story? Or my experience of you, or my experience of what's happening is, you know, that's how you have this expression conversation versus accusation conversation. And so you want to also notice what stories you're making up in your head that are driving you and your beliefs. Like, I'm always late, I'm always inconsistent, I can't afford, I am broke, I need, I can't, I never, I'm an introvert. These are stories you're making up that you're choosing to hold on to, because you can always change your story. You can always say, I'm never late. I'm always on time. I did that. I went from always late to saying, you know what? People are going to remember me for being a time ninja. They're going to remember me for being on time. And I'm not perfect, but I am so much better. So you get to change the story. I had to let go of the story so that I could change the behavior, because your words, your beliefs are going to, that's like the intention over mechanism. Like, you could try all you want to be on time, but if you're telling yourself I'm always late, then you're not really trying. So start with your words, start with your beliefs, your stories, your thoughts. We learned how to clear a shit scoop. This is a major communication tool. It's a major part of why relationships go south, because you build up the shit scoop. You have resentment, you have things that are said out of context, you have things that are said out of pocket, and resentment builds up. There's not a lack of respect. People are starting to disrespect each other because there's this unfinished business in the background. So you want to acknowledge it when you feel some type of way and you're not able to handle your triggers on your own, and you want to communicate. That's one thing. When an actual shit scoop happens and you want to clear it up, that's when an agreement has been broken. Maybe you're late, maybe you disrespected your partner, maybe you did something that you wish you didn't do. Acknowledge it. I acknowledge that I da 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 da. You know what, so the what was in the gap was like, it's not giving an excuse. Like, so let's just say you're late. You're not saying, hey, I'm sorry I was late, there was traffic. That's an excuse. You would say, I acknowledge that I was late. What was in the gap was my commitment to being on time, and what you can count on me moving forward is to take it more seriously and to be on time. There is no excuse, because that's intention over mechanism. If you wanted to be on time, you would have been on time. You are on time. You don't go to an airline and say, oh, I'm sorry, I was late to miss my flight, can you hold the plane, there was traffic. No, you make sure you get up and you're leaving an hour or two you'd rather be way early than late. So when you really want to be on time, you're on time, no matter what. Traffic doesn't get in the way of missing a flight. Traffic doesn't get in the way of that big interview. So if it is a very important interview and you're late, guarantee underneath there was a sabotage belief, or there was something happening underneath that caused you to be late. So know that when we have intentions, we always meet them. So when we don't meet them, there is a belief operating. So instead of saying, no, this time for real, I was really trying to be on time, just say, damn, somewhere I have a belief that I don't deserve this thing, or I'm not worthy of being on time, or I need to be late so that I can be seen, or whatever. There is a belief operating there. And when you can understand that, then you'll stop making excuses for your breakdowns, and you'll be responsible for them, and you'll acknowledge them. Like, and sometimes you won't know. Sometimes you're like, I don't know why I did that. I don't know what belief is operating. I'm committed I'm committed to digging underneath it and figuring it out. But we don't give excuses. We just don't give excuses. So really going back and studying that shit scoop is going to be really powerful. So this was just a diagram that we did. This is just another way of that head diagram. It's just understanding that your Your everything is connected to your experiences, your memories, your behavior, your thoughts, your beliefs. So your thoughts, your beliefs, and your feelings and your emotions are, so if you go to the bottom, your experiences and memories are leading to how you think about things, how you feel. So if you have a bad experience with love because what you saw when you were a child, your memory of love, your experiences of love, it's going to cause your feelings and emotions to maybe be protective and guarded over love. And your thoughts and beliefs may be that love is hurtful and love is dangerous and love gets you hurt. So then your behavior is going to be to guard your heart and to have one foot in the relationship and one foot out. Your behavior is going to be that of what matches your thoughts, your beliefs, your feelings, and your emotions. And it's all based on your experiences. And then your behaviors create your reality and your current experiences, and you keep perpetrating, which is why you've got to reprogram your thoughts and your beliefs. You've got to manage your emotions and your state, because your state is what creates your reality. Your state is what you attract. Think of your emotional state as your magnet. So if your emotional state is constantly negative, in the dumps, depressed, anxious, busy, overwhelmed, then you're going to attract that low vibration energy. If your state is constantly managing overwhelm and stress and anxiety with reprogramming your beliefs, doing affirmations, spending time quietly in prayer, taking time to rest, setting boundaries, then you're going to raise your vibration in your state, and you're going to attract a higher vibration reality. And so this diagram is just to show you that we perpetrate what we focus on. So it's up to you to change that. We talked about play. Play is the compass that I want you to lead with, lead with. A playful path is the shortest road to happiness. I believe that wholeheartedly. If you are not playing in life, and if you're not being the acronym of play, then you're missing out. You're really missing out of a fruitful life. You've got to lead with passion, purpose, and pleasure. You've got to lead with love. You've got to be self-aware. You have to be conscious. You have to live from your crown, not your crutch. You've got to let your highest self lead you, not your limiting belief and subconscious. And you've got to be youthful, fun, playful, bold, courageous, joyful, free, energetic. Those are the ways of being. It's not about what we do, it's how we be. And so when you focus on being childlike, you attract a higher vibration life. And so keeping that as your compass. So I basically just said this. I'm not going to go too far deep into it, but it's that passion, pleasure, play. Are you aligning to your core beliefs and values? Go back to those modules and really identify your vision, your core beliefs, and your values. If you don't have those, then you don't have non-negotiables. You don't have boundaries. You don't have a clear path of who you are, where you're going, and what you want. And therefore, you'll let life happen to you, and you'll become more victim more often, and you won't attract everything and everyone that you're wanting to attract. You have got to be very, very, very clear. And asking yourself, is what I'm saying yes to with my time, energy, and money moving me closer to my goals and my vision? So we talked about the SMART goals. We changed, remember, we changed the T to trust because we didn't want to put that timestamp where it creates that pressure. So remembering when you're creating goals on your vision board, I would go back to that module, lead with your vision board, lead with your vision as your compass. If you are not working on something that's keeping your vision in the future of becoming, you're perishing. You're not having guidance of where you're going. We talked about the power of visualization, meditating, prayer, acting as if, surrounding yourself with. Go activate your senses, smell it, taste it, feel it. This is why going on vacation, you come back inspired because you felt what it feels like to be in relaxation and pleasure and fun. So you've got to visualize it. You've got to experience it. You got the tool, the accountability tracker. So you want to be using that, especially when you're wanting to develop a new habit. It's a great tool to start a new month and then to reflect at the end of the month. And it's also a great tool to just see how consistent you are. Many people don't even stay consistent with the tracker in itself. So it just shows you how we do one thing is how we do everything. So commit, challenge yourself to fill this out for a month straight and see what happens when you're being intentional and focused and committed and you have, your daily goals. So asking for support. asking for help, being supported with coaching, mentoring, new knowledge? Are you gaining new knowledge? For the last 12 weeks, you have been gaining new knowledge. So I want you to notice, what has your life been like as you've been filling your mind, your body, your soul with new information? Are you needing community? Are you needing to be surrounded by people? Do you know your roles and your responsibilities? Are you asking for support? Are you implementing systems so that you are not the only one doing it? You can have it all, but you cannot do it all. So you really get to be supported and look at your life and say, where can I give some things up? Where can I be supported? Connection is currency is something that you learned. So we learned to be responsible, be present, be fun, be authentic, and be your man's number one fan. So this is more in the relationship realm. We talked about that in the first part of module 6. So just definitely focusing on those modules when you want to dive into the core components, I believe, of a healthy relationship is connection and confidence and communication. When you can learn those 3 things, you will build such a fruitful foundation. And so going back to those modules and realizing how your responsibility is key to the relationship, how being present is key, how being fun, how being authentic, and how being his number one fan without sacrificing yourself is so powerful. And then again, confidence, knowing your identity in your creator, know yourself, love yourself, be yourself, choose your crown over your crutch. You want to love over judge. You want to have gratitude over comparison. You want to celebrate over complain. That's the crown versus the crutch. You want to focus out. Confidence is moving with intention. It's knowing who you are and not being knocked down by your self-doubt, by comparison, by all these things. And it is an external thing. It is taking care of yourself, loving how you look and how you feel about yourself. And then we went over the 10 commandments. So you navigated through those. You can go back to the module to get them. We did the praise break. This is a must tool. When you're triggered, cue the gospel song and take a praise break. Pause, reflect, ask, interpret, solve, and express and experience your emotions. So study this, know it. If you do not implement it, I promise you, you will continue to be taken over by your triggers because it's very easy to do. So take that break, breathe in, breathe out, play the song, and reflect. If you're not resting, if you're not building in a Sabbath in your schedule, if you are go, 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 do, I promise you, you are missing out on the fruitfulness that's available for you. You've got to create space. You've got to reflect. What you track grows. Reflect on your money, reflect on how you spend your time, reflect on who you surround yourself with. You've got to do that. I love the circle of life, being mindful that you're always being in a room where you're being pulled up, where there's someone who you can aspire to be like, people who you're inspiring, who are aspiring to be like you, and the Me Too crew, the people who are right there with you. You've got to be surrounded by all 3 in order to be continuing to evolve, continuing to be reflected to yourself. You always want to be reminded, wow, I'm an inspiration to someone. But you always want to be reminded, like, wow, I've got growth. I've got room to grow. I haven't made it. I'm not perfect. And then you don't want to feel alone. You want to feel like, all right, I'm doing all right. So it's just so important. And what's really, really important is that you take everything that you've learned from this program and don't make it just theory, put it into practice. You don't want to just think these concepts and be like, yeah, great, I did it. Put them into action, realize where they matter most. When life is happening and you're in a breakdown, ask the questions. What's my relationship with this breakdown? How did I create this? How am I responsible for this? What's the opportunity to grow? What's the lesson? When you lead with that, your whole life will change. It will literally change. And so now what I want to ask you is, what will you focus on in the next 90 days? How are you going to be held accountable? And this is where I really want to invite you to continue on working with me, with this community. Continue to add to the community. And if not, I want you to continue to seek out what's that next step for you. I'm perfectly okay if I'm not a fit for your next step. I may just be a passing point where you passed through, you said it, you did it, you came, you conquered, and now you're on to the next thing, and that's perfectly okay. But if you're feeling called to continue on, I want to share with you how you can do that. But again, I want you to focus on what are you doing for the next 90 days. When you can live at like 90 days at a time, it helps you stay with a plan of action, but not be so far in the future that you're not present. And so that's why I say 90 days. So I would love to invite you into Cloud9. It is invitation only. So you may apply and we may come back to you, and I may feel like you're not a fit or you're not ready. But if you are feeling called, I do invite you to apply. Cloud9 is a high level mastermind. I created it because I have always been about creating a dope community of women where we have accountability, we have community, we have sisterhood, we have growth. We're always learning, we're always growing, and we're always holding each other high to a high standard. And so in Cloud9, it's very much a community feel. You will get one-on-one. So different from her playbook, in Cloud9, you get one-on-one calls. So I'll go over what you get, but I want you to think of it as a mastermind. So instead of where her playbook is a group program where you're learning from me in a group setting, mastermind is more collective. When the guest speakers come on, everyone's asking questions, including me. I'm not the only teacher. We're all teaching each other. We're all bringing value to the table. And so we're all living through these principles, which is why I have you go through her playbook first. Because if you come into Cloud9, but you're a victim all the time, or you're using our time not being willing to apply the coaching, you're not going to fit in. You're going to use up the energy in a way that we don't want it to be. So Cloud9 is very dreamy. It's all, it was named with the intention that I want you to feel like you're living on Cloud9. I want you to live every day, not just vacations and holidays and birthdays, but every day passionate, excited, lit up about who you are, who you're becoming, and what you're creating in your life, and the legacy that you're leaving behind. And so Cloud9 is really for you if you are ready to lock into your vision, to really take action on your purpose and your passion and your next level of identity. And it's really a place where we're going to dive into sexuality and sensuality and lead our lives from a feminine power standpoint. So you're going to learn all about that, which I believe that those are the three elements that are really put on the back burner in order to be in the masculine, in order to do it all. And so you're going to start to unravel all of that doingness and start honing in on your beingness and really allowing yourself to create. So what's included in Cloud9 is every month you will get a one-on-one call with me. So we will set those up. They will be on Mondays and most likely the last Monday of the month. So you'll have a set time that you do every last Monday of the month. Then you will have a group coaching call with just me. And then you'll have a group coaching call with a guest expert. So I bring in outside experts who are people who I've learned from, people who I want to learn from, people who I feel like would benefit you. So we may be learning about money energy. We may be learning about sexuality, sensuality, spirituality. I will bring a little bit of business growth in there because I do want to have women who are entrepreneurial. So I want to support you there. So it's really a collective. Think of it as this buffet of learning and growing and evolving. So where her playbook was very concentrated on identity and mindset and the foundations of how you think, Cloud9 is where we're going to pop that open and we're going to continue to expand our knowledge and continue to grow and to learn and to evolve. So you will also get unlimited Voxer access. So now instead of just having the Facebook group to communicate with me, you will be able to access me via Voxer to ask your questions and stay connected. You will have the library of any past calls that have taken place. Then you also have access to her playbook. So if you enjoy just being a part of those weekly calls, you're more than welcome to stay on them and keep going on them. And then one part that I'm super duper excited about is we will be having an in-person retreat. And so you will be invited to that. So that's really exciting. And it's really just a place where you can continue to evolve, continue to grow, continue to expand, and to continue to step into that next level of yourself. But there's so much power in doing it in community alongside other women who are also doing the same thing. Where in her playbook, we weren't focusing on business growth, we weren't focusing on creating, we were focusing on being and mindset. And so now that you have that, we're going to all hold each other accountable just by being that. And then we're going to now be focusing on what we're creating. So the investment of Cloud9, it's a 3-month window. So in 3 months, you'll decide if you want to keep renewing or not. But for the 3 months, it's $5,000 pay in full or 3 payments of $1,800. And you will get a $500 fast action bonus if you enroll between now and the end of her playbook. So you will be able to take advantage of that. Obviously, if you're watching this months down the road or weeks down the road, then that won't be in effect. But if you're in real time in the modules, then you will have until the end of her playbook to take advantage of that $500 off. So this is around what I charge for one-on-one coaching. So you're getting the best of both worlds. And it's just a really, really, really incredible way to continue growing, evolving, having support, having community, and learning along the way. Or if you are not ready to continue her playbook, but you're also not ready to leave this community, you can repeat her playbook, which is $1,500 investment. And again, if you enroll before her playbook is over, then you get the $500 off fast action bonus. So what that will look like is you'll sign up and then you will be a part of the next wave and you will be a part of that program and you'll do it over again. And it's really, really powerful. I see many people do it and benefit from it. And I invite you to ask those who have repeated it to see their experience and really decide what it is that you want to do from there. So please, please, please spread the word. I have a vision that her playbook is marketed more internally than it is externally. And what I mean by that is instead of just me being the advocate for it, I want you to be the advocate for it. I want it to be so powerful that it changed your life so powerfully that you can't help but to invite other people into this. And so I am asking that you spread the word, that you invite your friends, your family, your people into it. And I just thank you for representing it. And so please get on our calendar to do an IG live with me so that we can capture your testimony, so that you can share it with your friends. You can say, hey, I'm going live with Crystal on this day and time. Come check it out. I really think you could benefit from it. And that's a great way to spread the word and pass the torch of this work. So thank you so much for being an advocate of the work. If you are, if you're not, that's okay too, but I'm really grateful for those who are. And I really invite you to share it, because when we share it, we make our world a better place, because there's nothing better than the people we love the most doing this work with us. So my hope for you is that the master in the art of living makes little distinction between his work and his play, his labor and his leisure, his mind and his body, his education and his recreation, his love and his religion. He hardly knows which is which. He simply pursues his vision of excellence at whatever he does, leaving others to decide whether he is working or playing, because to him, he is always doing both. And that is one of my favorite quotes of all time, because my ultimate goal for you is that your life is so abundant, it's so amazing, that it's literally like you're living on cloud 9 every single day, that you are passionate, you're purposeful, you're fruitful, and you have all of the desires of your heart. And I believe that the way to doing that is through play and through leading with these principles that you learned in this program. So thank you again for allowing me to be a part of this journey with you. I'm grateful for you, and I'm so excited to see how your life continues to transform thanks to you doing this work and applying it.